And so a year ago, right now, I think Monster was overnighting at the local vet spot. It was miserable. My second son was like less than a week old. So, Emily took it like a champ though, because, there's a lot of things that you should not do. One of them is, hey, so I know that we've got our week-old son here, but I'm gonna basically be gone, right?
Because I've got to sleep on the floor next to Monster,
Yeah,
because he's in the hospital.
Yeah, they just need to cut out this much of his intestines. And anyway, Monster's still alive. That's actually the entire show. We wanted to do the recap of 2017 and the forecast in 2018, sort of state of GORUCK, except live, and take your questions and stuff. But really, it just comes down to Monster. So I think that's the show. So
goes Monster, so goes GORUCK. He's really just a metaphor for the entire company and the whole community. Monster, don't take another digger, man. We need you, buddy.
Be tough.
It's a bad omen.
Yeah.
Do you want to do the GORUCK show or not?
We're doing it.
We already got the beer out.
We're doing it. All right, so we just want to sometimes we like to branch out a little bit. Sometimes we like to stay a little bit closer to home. I mean, talking about GORUCK is something that we do all of the time. I think a lot of
our wives probably like that too.
Yeah, they love it, right?
Because I always talk about work.
I think there's some type of balance. I've never been that great at balance, but there's probably some balance between, hey, what else do you find interesting in the world? And I find lots of things interesting, but I don't necessarily want to talk about the latest Da Vinci book or the Wright brothers book, which is, like we can talk about them if you come and we go to dinner and I'll tell you that they're great books and stuff. But I mean, I'm not a scholar like that. Anyway, GORUCK, we're scholars.
How's your balance coming?
GORUCK,
Jason?
we're scholars. So occasionally you got to talk about your own stuff and the community that we've been able to help form and grow. I think that there's a lot to be said for whomever you are out there. If you have a family, if you have a business and you have customers, if you have any type of community that you've built, checking in on what's actually going on behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, where you are, where you're going, I think it's a good thing. It's a lot better than holding your cards really close to the chest and hoping to, inspire something great. It doesn't really work that way.
No, lead with transparency. That's kind of the motto around here. And it feels good to do that, and it feels like the right thing to do. And I think that you and I just kind of naturally gravitate toward that. But I think there's also like a real advantage to that in this day and age. I think that people are really starting to change the way they look at companies and organizations and communities that they want to be a part of. And I think people just really, most people are smarter than you give them credit for. And I think if you just give reasonable people accurate, truthful information, then they can make reasonable conclusions from that. And some people are unreasonable. No matter what you tell them, they're just going to be unreasonable. And so what's the point in playing your cards too close to the chest? I think you have to respect the people that are part of your community. Give them as clear information as you can, and let them decide for themselves.
Yeah, so the risk. So we
publish. What would be the risk of? Let me pose that to you. What would be the risk of being transparent? What's the downside? Why doesn't every company operate that way?
Frankly, it's hard. Why don't you tell everybody that you know and love exactly how you feel about everything? It's the same thing. It's hard. Why? Yeah. They say that, how many people are really good at having hard, difficult conversations? It's not many. And yet you've got a lot of people who are really successful because they're able to have hard conversations and do it in a way that doesn't sort of belittle, or there's an art to it, is what I'm getting at.
I think I heard it on the Tim Ferriss podcast, but I don't think he said it. It's that your success in life is directly proportional to your ability to have hard conversations.
I've heard that before, I think from you. I think you said it.
You know what? Attribute that to me, folks, on the internet. That would be great. But I think that's true. But here's the thing about transparency, and specifically about hard conversations, though. It gets easier every time. It doesn't mean they're ever easy. I don't mean to say that, but I will say that if it just becomes kind of your default setting to just have the hard conversation, to just tell the truth, it actually does get easier with reps. And hard conversations are hard. That's why we call them that. But telling the truth isn't that hard.
No, then you don't have to remember what you said either, which is great.
Exactly.
Right? I find a lot of value in that. I don't have to go back and remember what I told someone somewhere because it's, from the best information that I have, if I don't want to answer it, I'll just say I don't want to answer that.
That's personal.
That's a better thing than, anyway. So, we publish our numbers. Hey, this is how much revenue we do. Hey, here's some other stats. And the risk in not doing that is that someone thinks that we're 10 times bigger than we are. And then when you start to say, okay, well, there's this little problem over here, and you say, okay, well, we're only this big. Or you say, the platitude of, we're a small business, but they think that small business means you're $500 million, which of course it doesn't, right? I mean,
what is the cutoff? What is the cutoff for small business? Is it number of employees or revenue? There's actually a number somewhere.
There is actually a number.
Small businesses.
I don't know.
SBA,
it feels like a small business here. I mean,
it definitely is here.
They
We're a platoon-size element here at GORUCK.
They say that there's this big thing that happens when you reach 50, and then I think 200 is the next one, something like that. But we're not there yet. So, anyway, to sort of cut to the chase, this year we're going to end up being at about a 20% growth clip-ish, right? So that'll put us over $15 million this year. It is what it is. That's sort of the beauty of just saying these are the numbers. It is what it is. Yeah. And a lot of that is, there's some interesting parts to that. In the early days of GORUCK, we basically funded inventory with the pre-sale of events. So someone would register for an event, we take that money and we'd buy inventory, and then we'd have to store the inventory, and then people could buy the inventory on the site. It's inventory apparel businesses. The reason why most of them are basically public is because they're able to raise a lot of funds, and cash is just a lot. You just start to need more cash to grow. That's the problem with selling things that you have to build and then sell. Build, store, sell, right? The problem is that eats a lot of cash. Events are the opposite. This is why I've seen there's a boneyard of events companies that have tried to mimic GORUCK. And the reason why they fail is because the back-end business reason why they fail is because it's really hard to estimate what the costs are going to be, and it's really hard to then execute it to quality if that's your only sort of stream of revenue, because you have every incentive to sort of cut corners and say, well, I'm not going to buy this for this event or spend this because it's too expensive, and I can save on that because as it becomes go time, you have to actually do the event, and you don't want to lose money on the event. And so when you realize that you're going to lose money, and I've seen this a lot, what happens is you launch more events. It's sort of the world's worst pyramid scheme, and you're doing it to yourself, right? So without GR1 and the apparel and the other rucks and all of those kinds of things that actually have margins associated with them, GORUCK would not really be able to exist. So the event side has been, it's evolved to where now it's a much smaller part of our revenue pot, and so
percentage-wise,
right?
Yeah.
So that's put a lot of additional strains on the capital side of the business to say, how do you grow? And a dirty little secret is that if you don't have money, you can't grow. And it's what you hear. I heard all these platitudes about people saying, it takes money to get money, or all these kinds of things, and I never really. If you don't have money, it's hard to get money. It's like hey, try walking into a bank and saying, hey, I'm completely dead broke, but I've got a great idea, right? Try that one sometime. That's not going to go very well for you. So you have to sort of play by the man's rules a little bit. And the man's rules are you've got to show and demonstrate that you can actually generate revenue and profit and all those things like a business. And then you can figure out a way to get more money. So cash is always the constraint in business. It's also the constraint in lots of things. Unless you can print it like America, God bless us, then it's always a constraint. And even then, the constraint is they got to get a whole bunch of people that are in and out of Washington, D.C. to come to some kind of a majority rules vote. But that's probably for a different day, huh?
For sure, because I studied economics. What did you study as an undergrad?
You know what? I studied economics.
Okay, so we both studied economics, and I'm not sure that either of us are super clear on exactly how the printing of money works, or like the buying of bonds and inflation rates and all that. Anyway,
I heard Bitcoin is where it's at.
Yeah,
and in fact, someday we're going to bring Laszlo on the show. He is the first ever person to buy Bitcoin. He runs our IT department, our back-end systems engineer stuff. So
He's the first person to ever purchase something with Bitcoin.
yeah, that's the right story. A pizza.
Yeah.
It's
A
worth.
pizza.
I
It was a
think-
pizza. It was
I
actually
think
two
it's
pizzas.
worth $2 billion right now.
Those two Papa John's pizzas that he bought
And when you
are
ask
now
him,
worth $1 gajillion.
How was it? He goes, well, it was a tasty pizza.
It was a good pizza.
Right?
Yeah.
So we'll bring him on sometime. It'll be awesome.
Yeah. So on the event side, just to give like a peek a little bit even further behind the curtain, we've been doing this for a long time, and we run a lot of events, and we're pretty efficient at it. And the events portion of our business, if you look at like net income or profitability, still it's like dead flat. That's the truth. Is we run a lot of events, over 900 a year, with a lot of like practice under our belt, and it's basically a break-even proposal at this point. And we're happy to do it because it has a lot of other positive influences on the world.
Most effective brand ambassador recruitment campaign ever, I think.
Yeah, it's great. Even if we didn't break even on it, you could make the argument it would still be worth it to some degree. Right?
If the trade-off is events or Google AdWords, one is sort of easier in some ways, but not as, the results aren't going to be the same with Google AdWords as they are with our events, obviously.
Yeah, not nearly as much fun, for sure. So, but to your point about if you want to start like an events company, it's very, very hard. And I know a ton of people in the game, whether they're like race directors for 5Ks and 10Ks, or they own some sort of race series or whatever. It is a brutally different. Not only is it competitive because it's a somewhat saturated market to be in. What we do is a little bit unique. Not that there haven't been others, that have kind of tried, but it is very, very competitive. It's very, very expensive, and most of the ones that do it well, they're making their money off sponsorship. So if you run a triathlon series or a 5K, 10K series, if you're actually making money, and many of them are not in the true sense of the word, it's because they've figured out a way to get sponsors that find value in being associated with the event or the race, and they make it on sponsorship.
It's
They're
local
not making
people hustling is what it is.
Oh my God.
It's local people hustling. It's not sort of, you don't go to the president of JP Morgan and he writes some national check for your 5K series. It's someone locally that knows someone locally who gets them to support with $500, $1,000. None of those races make any money.
Yeah. It's a
By
tough game to be
registration
in.
alone, I mean.
Yeah, and maybe the only game tougher than the race game is the backpack game. I'm sure you have. Like, go even through a distributor like a Huckberry or something. Just click on backpacks and look. There's hundreds of good ones.
Basically, they all suck except for one company. Basically, they all fail. Almost all of them. And if they don't fail, they look like you're heading to Baghdad, and that's cool. Baghdad's a good place to get good work in, right? Afghanistan's a good place. A lot of good work there.
Hey, if we ever get really hard up and we need some work,
I want to go back. I want to go back to Iraq and not have people shoot at me. I want to go back and sort of, it was the cradle of civilization. I want to go back and have a positive experience. That's going to happen in my lifetime, I believe it. So
I think so too, but I remember in 2004 thinking, man, someday I'll come back here with my kids. In like 2024, this will be sorted out.
Not 2024.
No.
Maybe with your kids, but not 2024. I was stationed right next to the birthplace of Abraham. It's awesome. Anyway.
You want to talk about year in review here? What do you want to talk about?
2017. We've got all these notes.
You said 20% year-over-year growth. That's fine.
Events are flat.
Basically.
So events being flat, here's what that means, is that growth of 20% to $15.5 million is all on the back of gear and apparel. Like, we've got to sell things to grow then to make up for the fact that events is sort of flatlined in aggregate.
Flatlined is not the right term. Flatline is like
growth is flatlined. Growth is flatlined. Two grades at GORUCK, A and F, right? A- rounds down. This is easy.
Okay, so
if people take offense to things flatlining, then let's inspire ourselves to be better. Let's make it not flatline. Let's make it grow.
The events
either
are
growing
dead.
or
That's all
you're
I'm
dying.
saying.
1,000 events are scheduled for this year. It's not exactly dead.
We've actually got some good stuff to talk about for that, but
Yeah.
we'll wait on that. Okay, so
Monster's still alive. Talked about that.
yep.
3PL. We want to talk about that?
3PL.
That's everyone's favorite subject right now,
Briefly.
including me. Woo, I love it so much.
2017. It was 20. Wait, this is I'm getting.
This is
old.
2017.
So last year, 2016, we moved to the 3PL, which is just a an outsourced order fulfillment company. It's out of, for us, it's out of Kentucky, just south of Ohio, the great state of Ohio where I'm from, I'll add. And a lot of great people around there. God bless them. You know,
Ohio River Valley.
nothing is without challenges. There's been a lot of, to cut to the chase, there's been a lot of complaining, rightfully so. So I don't want to call it whining, because whining is without merit. Complaining is just, where's my, as I told our partner, I go, our people have the right to say, where's my shit? And when you reach a certain threshold and you say, where's my shit? And you don't have a good answer, like, it's
exactly here.
It's
right
exactly
now,
here,
and it will
or
be
it's
at your door. Yeah.
yeah, like that's the right answer. And so it's not been perfect. What I will say is that two things. I saw someone say on Reddit, God bless you guys, hiding behind the cloak of anonymity, is
I said, hey, it's Blayne when I.
GORUCK just doesn't care about order fulfillment because people love our stuff so much that they'll do anything to get it, and it's made us fat and lazy when it comes to order fulfillment.
What's the climate been around the office lately with regards to that?
It is
Anybody
like,
losing any hair over that
hey,
right now?
have you seen, so I challenge you to go see that scene in Tropic Thunder where Tom Cruise, his greatest acting thing ever, his greatest role ever.
Did you even know that was him the first time you saw it? Or did you not know until the end of the film?
I think someone told me before the film that he,
I
but
didn't
anyway,
know. It was awesome.
where he answers the phone, right?
He's like the fat guy, the bald, and he's got the gold watch.
Yeah, exactly. And when he says, hey, scorched earth, mother, boop, right? That's what it's been like internally and in dealing with them. Our aim is to be excellent. We're not quite there yet. We're better at building GR1s than we are at putting them in a box and putting the right thing in a timely fashion and getting them to you. Like, there, we said it.
Yeah, so as Chuck would remind us, and it's fair to be reminded that overall, over however many thousands of orders go out, less than 0.5%, we have order problems. But lately, during like the Black Friday and Cyber Monday, we had a snafu that put, I think currently we have what? I think we still, to this day, have, well, actually, as of 9:40 this morning, we had 43 orders that were placed between December 1st and December 8th that were not fulfilled yet.
That's 43. What that
Which is
not-
unacceptable. That's a week ago, and that's no bueno.
Those are supposed to go out within, what, 2 or 3 days, and they're not there. But what that is not is 430 or 4,000 orders or 430,000 orders. It's not.
It feels kind of the same, though. If you're the person waiting for your order, or if you're me, like it feels kind of the same.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, so we got to get better at that, and it's completely
go
honest,
watch.
but we'll-
You know what? Bomber can probably find it's Lex Grossman's speech. He'll probably post it on the GORUCK page where he says, you know, Flaming Dragon's on the line, and he answers the phone, and you know, Flaming Dragon thought he had, you know, the upper hand, and Lex Grossman made it really clear. It's been a lot like that around here dealing with this stuff. So, you know, we'll stop talking about it somewhat to protect the guilty, which is ourselves. But you know, it's not been pretty. We'll just. Is that fair?
Yeah. Oh, it's at least fair, but it's moving in a better direction. So we'll get it right.
It's been elevated and escalated.
It's been escalated.
It's been escalated.
We got one plane ticket to Cincinnati for next week.
Hey, you know what? And I love Cincinnati. So, you know, I also do Scorched Earth pretty well if I have to. I hate it though.
You don't say.
I'd rather just smile and drink beer, but like a good, you know, guy with our background, when it's time to flip the switch, you got to flip the switch. Sometimes you got to go Scorched Earth.
So what else happened this year? We the scars moved
consolidation
to
here.
Jack's
So
Beach.
that was the other part of it. You know, outsourcing order fulfillment to a centrally located distribution center, moving scars repairs right here, right, literally over there across the room right now, working on some repairs and stuff. Moving that here, that's been culturally great. You get no sort of credit on any sort of bottom line or top line or anything like that. But sometimes as a business, as a family, as a community, as a whatever, you've got to make decisions that really change your life for the better internally. I mean, if you live apart for 5 years, I know because I've done that, you have a tendency to grow apart. And if you come back together, and you actually live together, you realize that, first off, you love the people that do that stuff, as well, and you're lucky to get to spend more time with them. And then they become a bigger part of the fabric of where everything is going. So it's been awesome to have Scars here in Jack's Beach. I mean, the obvious question would be, why don't you just do your own order fulfillment out of Jack's Beach as well? Well, the main reason is number one, we don't necessarily want to take on that responsibility, but I think of all of the hiring and all of the management, all the temp workers and all the storing of inventory, it's a lot of brain power that has to go into that stuff that then get shortchanged elsewhere. But the bigger reason is that for shipping costs, you want to have a centrally located facility, and Ohio is a great place to have that. And so, the great state of Ohio. And so, we're just south of the Ohio River, right next to Cincinnati Airport now. It's kind of the same. I-70, I-75 intersecting really close, so it's relatively fast to the East Coast. It's not too prohibitively expensive to the West Coast, stuff like that. So it's a good location. I'm glad that we did the model where we have all of our inventory in one location, because a lot of 3PLs, third-party logistics, will tell you that you should separate all your inventory. Well, the problem with separating out all your inventory is then you have to manage it separately and what goes where and with what. And Amazon's gotten that down. Guess what? Amazon wasn't built overnight.
They were a bookseller at one point, right?
Yeah, I mean, God bless them. They've made a million decisions that if one of those goes awry, maybe they're not the Amazon that you know right now. But it's taken them a long time, and they're one of the premier, if not the premier, IT provider as well. I mean, if you look at Amazon Web Services, and I mean, it's just they control their own destiny at this point. Good for them. Like first mover advantage. Like if you're king, it's good to be king. Someone's going to come after him, but probably the government, right? But amongst other places. But we'll see.
Antitrust.
Right? Yeah,
monopoly.
Standard Oil, stuff like that. Anyway.
Fair enough. Okay, so what else?
That's been good.
Gear?
Also brought in this guy this year. That's been, that's been pretty good. So
we get to do this every Thursday.
We get to do this every Thursday. It's been so it's allowed. Someone asked one time, why does GORUCK even need a president? I know you saw because we joked about it.
I ask myself that all the time. Yeah.
And there's a lot of different reasons that I'll get into, but I'll do it succinctly. One is that an accomplished and fresh set of eyes is a really powerful weapon. Right? It's a powerful tool because people get comfortable with the things that I see and the things that I don't see and the things that I care about and the things that I don't care about. And, I, frankly, in the early days, I was not obsessed with GORUCK becoming a great business. That was not, it was sort of how to build a great brand that doesn't compromise my past in Special Forces. That was the most important thing to me. And so bringing Blayne on, the great news has been that he also, imagine this, cares very, very deeply about not compromising on the values of Special Forces or our heritage in Special Forces, both of us having been Special Forces guys. But there's just an additional set of eyes on a lot of the business mechanics and stuff, and he's brought a lot of different experiences from different time in the corporate sector and building a nonprofit, aka a company in its own right, up in a similar way that translates well here, but you still have P&L statements, you still have revenue, you have costs, you have all those kinds of things. And so digging into a lot of that stuff, the operational stuff, as well as how to expand from a growth perspective. And with him here, I've been able to focus a lot more on kind of strategic growth stuff, which I don't know if it's not coincidentally, has almost given me a fresher set of eyes onto a lot of the stuff at GORUCK because I'm a little bit more removed from the weeds. So as you've come on and really dug into the weeds, and those are interesting, they're more interesting to you now than they are to me now because I've been staring at those weeds for a long time. And so removing from that even slightly, and not so much in every weed, but sort of figuring out, at a top level, what's moving and what's shaking and what's not and why, and then also how to really impact growth. So it's kind of freed up a lot of bandwidth in my head to focus, frankly, more on rucking and on telling that kind of story and telling more of the brand story. We're turning 10 here in 3 months or so. I mean, there's just 2.5 months. There's lots of stuff along that line to do that if the more that you get involved with every department, the harder it is to focus on the bigger stuff. So building a great business is not just the nuts and bolts. It's not just the big story. It's a lot of all of that. And, you know, like the goal, there's a reason why GORUCK is not called McCarthy, right? I mean, I wanted this to be a company and a brand that outlives me for 1,000,000 years, forever. And that takes a lot of smart, capable, competent people that first off get the brand and also want to work hard along the mission that we have. So it's been awesome to have this guy here.
It's been awesome to be here. And we're going to need more awesome people, by the way. And we're hiring for some jobs right now, so feel free to check out the careers tab on the GORUCK.com because we need some more awesome people, and we'll continue to.
Yeah.
But
real quick, what do you got, Meat?
We needed prettier faces for our apparel models too. So
Ah.
that was good to have before.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You just brought me into model hoodies. Is that the deal?
Yeah, we brought
That's what I
Blayne
heard.
into model hoodies. He's an expensive model.
I don't know what it is
I will
about the
say
hoodies,
that.
but man, it's just. I don't know how you guys feel about the simple windbreaker, but hoodies.
Yeah.
No, I think for me, what's been the most interesting component of the whole deal is like when you get into the weeds, there are two patches of weeds that I'm always trying to like figure out. There are weeds that have been there for a while that maybe you've wanted to have addressed that I got to figure out which ones are those, right? Which ones are the ones that have maybe been pushed to the back burner or just kind of fallen through the cracks? Like, what are the important things that need to get done that maybe were brought to the forefront months ago or years ago that just, overcome by events, too many priorities, not enough time and energy to put toward it. Like, I got to figure out what those things are that like still need to get done, that best intentions, but just lack of bandwidth to get done. So I spend a lot of time trying to uncover like, what are the actual important things that are sort of like, hanging out here in the weeds. The other part that's tricky for me, just to be candid, is if I see something with a fresh set of eyes that maybe we could do is we tried that 2 years ago, or we already thought about that, or whatever, and then I have to decide, okay, does that mean that it's a non-problem or something I shouldn't, like that's a tree that should not be barking up, or does it mean that just because we tried it 2 years ago, things were different 2 years ago? People were different, circumstances were different. Maybe we just need to try it again or try it a little differently, and it would work now. And so that's where I spend a lot of my brain power is figuring out, like, what are the things that just haven't gotten done to date? Because, they're important, but there are a lot of other important things. And then what things that seem like great ideas to me to try are really just not that great an idea? Or
Sometimes great ideas are just really difficult to execute too.
yeah,
If you have you don't have the right person
right
to
time,
just
place, people,
see it
yeah.
through to completion.
Timing is
GORUCK
everything,
Nasty. I saw some questions about that. There you go. Just don't have the personnel to execute it. It's a massive undertaking. So you've got to steal someone at whatever their salary is, and that's good for a year. And they've got to do nothing but nasty. And then you get the marketing machine in and all that stuff. And so, I'm not saying never, but it's just one of those. There's lots of big projects, even little projects.
Oh yeah.
Lots of weeds, lots of big ones.
I was just signing us up for podcasting software 2 hours ago because people keep asking, you folks, God bless you, keep asking when the GORUCK show is going to go from being just Facebook Live and on YouTube to being in podcast format, so you can listen to it whenever and during your commute or whatever. It's coming. The drop dead date is no later than 8 January. It will be in audio. Yeah. But I had to go on the website and do that today because there's a billion other things going on, and that's okay. It's a good idea. It should be a priority, but where does it fit in the long list of priorities like fixing the 43 orders that are not shipped yet between December 1st and December 8th?
Priority used to be a singular word, and then, some very, very smart person that wanted to make, life overcomplicated said, you know what, if we just make this plural, then everything will be a priority, right? So not, hey, here's your priority, but here's your 27 priorities, plural. See how easy that was? Now just do all of them. I wish
Easy.
it worked like that.
It's easy. All right. So what else? So gear, you want to talk gear 2017?
Sure.
Not an exciting year gear-wise, I don't think, in terms of new stuff, but there was one big one.
Wasn't it? There was a big one.
One big one.
GR3 was a big one. It's a big name in GORUCK, GORUCK world. So we were, 1,000 pre-orders. I was pretty surprised that it was that many. It's a.
Were you really? Because whenever we talk about pre-orders and
big,
stuff, you're like, we'll do
yeah,
like a million.
So I think if we did some other things that were, more accessible in terms of leader counts or stuff like that, I mean, I think that we could do more. I mean, I think we could do more, but when you say GR3 at what, 45 liters, I mean, it's an awesome ruck. It's not a day ruck. You're not going to use it every single day.
Unless you're Nick. Nick says he's going to use it every day.
Unless you're
all
Nick,
his camera equipment.
Unless
and
you're
everything.
backpacking throughout
He's
Europe
also like
or
6'5"
the world.
and
Yeah, unless you're doing all of the. I mean, rare is the person. Sorry, meat. Right? Rare is the person.
He did a triple heavy. Did you know that? Nick
He
finished
did a
triple heavy.
That's practically selection. It's
Dang.
24 hours longer than selection.
Sounds shitty. I don't want to do it.
Alex Stabdal should trade Nick patches.
What do you say about
You
that,
know?
Alex?
Should just trade him. There you go. Bam, Alex. So look, GR3 though, GR3 was probably, I mean, we had this old ruck. I wish I still had it hanging right there because I used to. I just go grab it, but it's somewhere over there in the R&D side. And I mean, we had this ruck, sort of called it the Noob, and it was what morphed into the Rucker because we went back to the roots of GR1, and GR1 just lost the laptop compartment and became the Rucker. And I guess my point is GR3 was years and years and years in the making. 4 years, maybe? 4 years of just lots of failures, and you go off into this bad lane, ambush alley or something, and they sit there and they machine gun your rucksack and it dies, and then you've got to scorched earth yourself back to the main road and keep driving on. And so that's kind of what GR3 was, and eventually it got to a point where it was simple and it just sort of worked, and that's good. So we did a pre-sale. I've heard people complain about pre-sales. I've heard other people say, why don't you do more of them? So the reason why you do a pre-sale is twofold. And they're of equal merit, because the first is that I have no idea how many people want to buy it. We just don't know. You can send it to someone in business development or finance or whatever it is, and they can crunch numbers of 1 billion different rucksacks from the beginning of time since rucksacks were sold. You can put an entire floor of McKinsey analysts on this problem, and they're not going to give you a reasonable answer. It's based on some Kentucky windage, and so
you could have a couple of Budweisers and throw a guess out there, and
right?
Probably, yeah.
So you say, okay, so we need to estimate demand, right? Because why? Because when you have to place an order, that means cash. And so if you have to spend money on something, then you have to steal money from somewhere else to spend money on that. I mean, business is just a war of limited resources, like war is a war of limited resources. So you say, okay, we've got to spend a bunch of money on this. How much money? I don't know. So in GR3's case, we offered a discount for you to pre-order it, and yeah, 1,000 of you took us up on that. And so that let us estimate demand. We ordered a few more on top of that, which are, will go live after all of the pre-orders have shipped, and that'll cost more. And so the other reason that you do it is cash today is better. And this is the Apple pre-sale model, it's the Tesla pre-sale model, it's the everyone does a pre-sale model. It's not just for cash today, but it's also because you just don't know how many people are going to show up. It's not the OCR model, the obstacle course race model, is just inherently, that's the event space. You say, sign up today, you get your service tomorrow or in however many months that it exists. Yeah. So that's how you get into the house of cards, where it all comes crumbling down because you don't understand your costs. On the gear side, it's different because we did understand our costs, so we had to estimate what those were going to be for us in order to both make a margin and give you guys what you wanted to quality and to standard, and then we had to order it at the demand that seemed reasonable. So there's a lot of moving pieces. We would like to do more of it. It's a little bit harder on the apparel front because
everything is harder.
Everything is harder. The margins are not quite as good, and it's also then you start cutting into those margins, shipping individual units. So there's not a shipping threshold. I guess we could pass shipping costs along if we wanted to. There's lots of ways to do it, but when something is not as special as a GR3, there's less demand for something that's less special. So
how's it going? speaking of GR3, I was looking through some of the comments on Facebook today. There's a lot of people want to know what's up. When are they getting their GR3 pre-order? When are regular ones going to be available? Blah blah blah. So what's the status?
Crack another Budweiser. And in fact, I don't know how we don't have a Budweiser sponsorship. If someone actually,
You know why? Because we give them all the love they could ever hope for nothing. So if
could
I'm
do so
Budweiser,
much-
I'm
we
like,
could do so much more.
I'm not giving them any money.
We could get Budweiser, or frankly, a lot of different beer companies. How many impressions could you get for Budweiser if you said the official immediate after drink of GORUCK Selection is a Budweiser? And it's in the live feed. It's in the 27 emails that we send out about GORUCK Selection. It's in everything. How many impressions? Because that's sort of the name of the game, right? I mean, that's why you do.
But they
your
already
thing on
got
the
them all.
NASCAR
That's what I'm
park.
saying. Like they already got all those
No,
impressions.
we
We already did it.
I mean, you can also put a picture of a case
free.
of Budweiser next to a GR1 on the GR1 page. By the way, our most heavily trafficked piece of gear on the site. And you could say every single person that goes to that page is going to see a case of Budweiser for sizing reference or otherwise.
It's on the banner now, 2 bottles of Budweiser.
Next to
That's
a
right, on the
GR1.
Facebook, on the...
Yeah, so
Yeah.
look, nobody wants to take a chance on anything. That's what I've realized over the course of time. So if you get to be big enough, then eventually this is when the sort of, elephants don't fight each other or whatever that sort of,
Whatever Budweiser, the oldest brewer in New York may step up to the plate here. So come on,
Great.
InBev. Come on, Anheuser-Busch. I'm from Missouri, for God's sakes. Come on.
Your dad calls this red can. I learned something new
red
from your
can.
dad, which
Yeah,
I've
I
done
mean-
many times. Red can. So you asked about GR3. So look,
When
we
am I
promised-
get-
we
where's
said
my
they were going to
shit?
go out this year. They're going to go out this year. We had a snafu, which is why you build in timelines. The snafu was in the label. The label was supposed to say
first run label.
GR3 built in the USA, first run. So that all you eBay collectors and all that stuff that want to, put it on Ruck Mall or whatever, that you can, everyone's got to make their money, right? Everyone's got to get their skin out of the
Rucks
game.
as investment. Rucks are better than Bitcoin.
They're better than Bitcoin, right? If I could say, the original Bitcoin, well, I don't think the first
What do you think the
GR1's
first
worth
GR1's
billions.
worth?
I don't think it's worth billions.
It's worth a lot more than it costs.
It's worth a lot more than it cost. Yeah.
Okay, so there was a snafu on the labels. This is
So
here's
that cost us a month. Welcome to it, right?
So how do we catch that? So we sent Christian out to California to the factory, and he was looking at
Christian manages all of our vendors.
Yeah,
and the
he's
quality
looking at all the
control there.
GR3s, and everyone, they take him out on the line,
like,
and
what
they're
are
so
the-
proud. They're showing him the GR3s, and he says, these are all going to get the first run label, right? And they're like, let me go look. And they didn't have the first run labels. So there were GR3, so just so you guys know, again, this is really open kimono stuff here. There were GR3s, but there weren't first run labels. And because we wanted to honor our commitment to the people that ordered them pre-sale for the first run, those first run off the line are gonna get the first run label. The problem is it took us then an extra couple of weeks to get those made and sent because it was some snafu. And so if you pre-ordered a GR3, you're gonna get yours before they are available for sale to the broader public.
Yeah.
And if you're in the broader public and you didn't pre-order yours, theoretically you could have been ordering one by now, but we're not gonna let you because the people that pre-ordered theirs are gonna get theirs first.
And
They're gonna have
say
them,
first run.
damn it, they're gonna have theirs in their hands,
Yeah.
and they're gonna say first run on the tag, and that is gonna be that. And
Pays to be a winner, right?
Yeah, and
that
like,
means
look-
finish first.
and look, it was a snafu, and we have to own that. And we could be having a better December right now and selling more Rucks probably if that had not happened. Or if we just said, look, you can buy a GR3 even if you didn't pre-order it. But we were not going to do that. So
Yeah, I mean,
there will be GR3s for sale in January once everyone that pre-ordered gets their shit.
hey, but
And then you can buy your GR3
I mean,
in January.
truth be told, if you were responsible for something like a growth figure for 2018, you've actually benefited from having a worse December, because then you don't have to stack the growth on top of this year's
Oh, I like where your
December.
head's at.
You can say, oh, okay,
Am I responsible for a growth figure in 2018? Is this what's happening right now?
So anyway, it's funny how the world goes round.
So thanks.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, guys. Thanks for not ordering the first run labels. It's awesome. So what else? Gear for next year?
So the GR3s they're actually, I think they're probably
They're piecemealing
showing.
out.
They're showing
They're
up
piecemealing
today
out, yeah.
or tomorrow at the latest.
Some of them is shipped. Have
Yeah.
shipped.
Well, they've shipped to Nugistics. They've shipped from the manufacturer. They're going to be at Nugistics. All the compression sacks are there too, so the tough bags. they're there with them, and they're going to start being shipped out early next week, first part of next week. And so hard to say, depends on where you live. You know, maybe by the end of next week, maybe by Christmas. Some of you, I'm hoping like 2/3 of you, the ones that ordered, if you ordered with Molly and with side handles, there's a good chance you will have yours by Christmas. A good chance, I can't guarantee it.
Yeah.
But there's a good chance if you ordered with Molly and with carrying handles, which is about 2/3 of the people that ordered them, you'll have it by Christmas. The
That's
rest-
also the one that we have hundreds of units of without first run labels sitting in
which you can buy in January.
inventory, which you can buy in January.
But not now,
Not now.
because the pre-order people haven't gotten theirs yet. And if you
It
didn't,
is what it is, people.
yeah, and if you ordered one of the other variations of it, everything is on track for you still to have it before the end of the year, which is what we promised.
Yeah.
So it's going to be close, unfortunately, but that's the promise, and I think we should be good there.
So gear stuff for next year, what to expect. There's
Much
gonna
more,
mess
much
around
more
with-
exciting.
what?
A lot of exciting stuff next year.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to downplay it right now, but it's going to be a big deal. So we're going to mess around with some new materials.
I'm going to downplay it, but it's
We're
a
going
big,
to mess around with
it's a
some,
big,
we're going to mess around with some new materials. I don't know,
Not
could
every-
be cool.
1200D Cordura?
999D.
No, we're not going
We're-
down. We can't go down.
Oh yeah. Oh
We
yeah.
gotta go-
Sorry. 9000D Cordura. It's going to be so badass, right? All the old GR1s are going to be for, you know, like for the cowards amongst us. You've got to get the 9000D GR1.
And they're gonna weigh 20 pounds. You don't even need to buy ruck
Actually,
plates
we're gonna
anymore. The
make them
ruck
out
is
of
gonna weigh 20
steel.
pounds.
We're going to make them out of steel. Yeah.
Will there
What's
be
up, bud?
any GR1s made out of the same material as the sweatpants?
I think we might make
Polartec.
GR1s
Polartec
out of
GR1?
Polartec sweatpant fabric. This stuff. It's going to be awesome.
Here's what I love about the sweatpants. We ranted a bit about this last week, so I don't want to go down the rabbit hole. For all the talk there's been about this, we're gonna sell out of them like in the next 2 days. We're gonna sell.
Because they're
we're gonna-
awesome.
We're gonna sell, they're so awesome. We're gonna sell every pair of them,
I
by
mean,
the way.
I know
By the
when-
next 2 days,
okay,
they're gonna
so-
be gone.
So
So if you don't like them, I'm sorry, but
Emily is
we
a
sold them all.
size. This is how awesome they are. Emily is a size 0. Okay, I'm a size 34, 36, a size large. When she is stealing my sweatpants at the house, double rolling them and cinching the waistband, right, and then rolling the leg.
This is how sweatpants work, though.
Yeah, but
Your
this
girlfriend
is
steals your
excessive.
sweatpants, or your wife in your case.
Yeah, I mean, these are not remotely able to fit her, and she just sort of gives me the double Johnny Cash and says, "These are mine now."
Okay, so hey, let's segue. Sweatpants are amazing. There'll be more at some point. Probably not more though. I think we'll have gray ones soon. So there might be a chance to get some gray ones, and then probably not again until the fall. So there's that. But since your wife has been stealing, well, there they are.
Don't worry, I got an extra pair right here.
I'm gonna order a pair because I know
2
we're
is
gonna sell
one,
out.
2 is one is none. These sweatpants, gray. They're awesome. You heard it here. I don't know, not first because I've said it like 100 times now.
So
My favorite new thing we did this year.
these are really nice. So with your wife stealing your apparel, when are we gonna have women's apparel? I get a lot of
So
questions about this, Jason.
I promised 2018, and we're on track. So we have, the way that happens is you have to establish a fit block. So
What's a fit block, Jason?
well, a fit block.
Because I'm learning
Blayne,
this stuff as I go too.
A fit block, Blayne, is that, you know, if you've ever seen kind of, you know, those mannequin models or whatever, and they show them, those are sort of meant to be representations of a fit block.
But a fit block is basically to say you come up with one size, it should be in the middle, right? So a size large. That's what it has been for the men's stuff. Say we're going to develop a windbreaker.
Okay.
So Kit internally at GORUCK has been kind of my litmus test in the development of our products as a true size large. So you say,
It's
okay,
a little goofy looking, but I mean,
yeah, it's his face and stuff. It's terrible, right? But other than that, he's a true size large, right? And so,
And so you say, okay, so you come up with something that you think is going to fit him based on market other pieces in the market, and you say, hey, take this in a little bit, add this feature, remove this feature. You send it. The fit block tries it on. You actually test it in the real world, which is an important thing in, I don't know, war, love, business, life, all those kinds of things, right?
Try before you buy.
Yeah. And then you say,
Or we'll
okay,
try it
this
for you.
fits great in this fabric, done, right? And then you say, okay, we've kind of got a fit block. And so,
Can I be the fit block medium? I feel like I'm.
are you
I'm
a true medium?
I'm like a true medium. Not a medium, not an extra medium. I'm a medium-sized guy.
Yeah, so
I wear a
you could
size
be,
10
but that
shoe,
would trump,
32 waist.
So you can trump kit. I would just say that most of our people are a little bit bigger. Just by sales data, most people are a large as opposed to medium. So once you establish the fit block in the middle, then they sort of grade the sizes up and down and make them so it's not, you don't come up with a separate fit block for every size. You come up with a standard size large, and then you grade it up to large, extra large, double extra large, and
So the women's
and down.
clothes aren't just going to be shrunken versions of the men's clothes.
So
'Cause I guess
Lindsay,
that's something I've
Lindsay,
been-
the one that Bomber said, "Don't you dare send her any notes."
Stay out of her DMs.
Stay out of her DMs. Is the
I know a lot of SF guys that will come after you. Stay out.
The fit, yeah, she's the fit block in the on the women's stuff, and you know, this morning I was conversing with Lindsay and Joe and the team out in Spokane about the first run of pants. That, you know, I don't know when it's going to be here, but it's so. Here's the thing.
Pants,
Women-
shorts.
If you have
Half
pants,
zips.
shorts are easy. But here's the thing. The recreating the men's line for women with an established fit block is pretty straightforward. It's really going to be demand based. And so I'm not convinced yet that the numbers are going to be, like, we just don't know. That this goes back to sort of the pre-sale model and stuff, and
You
we've got to
don't know
be
if there's a vocal minority or if there's a true demand. It's
just
very hard
don't
to.
know.
It's hard. Like it's like our favorite thing, tiger stripe. I mean, I know that 20 of you would buy a tiger stripe ruck if we made them, but the vocal minority makes it sound like 1,000 or 2,000 people would. So it's. I think women's apparel is something that we're going to get into for the long haul, kind of for the forever. So we intend to grow it and have it be kind of on equal footing with the men's apparel at some point. We just have to be careful how we roll it out so that we do it smartly and we make pieces that actually work and that they want, and then we can kind of add more. So
Yeah, so the other side is that we need to actually test the fit block that we come up with, the pieces that we come up with in the real world. So we'll take your feedback, hey, this is great, this is not. I mean,
you can show up here when it starts coming in and you can crawl around in the mud and stuff and
yeah, you can do that.
and test it out for
It's
us and
pretty awesome.
all that. Yeah.
You can do that
The
anytime.
members at Black Hive CrossFit have been subjected to
God bless them.
countless log carries and mud crawling and stuff to test out the apparel. So look, if you really want to come to Jack's Beach and get your first look at this stuff and actually test it out, we would love to have you in all sincerity.
Yeah, we just don't have a date for you yet.
We'll let you know though.
We'll let you know. We'll keep you posted, Tina Streeter.
Yeah. Tina. She's from where I grew up down in Southwest
she's
Florida.
awesome.
Yeah.
She's good people.
Also did the Zombie Apocalypse Tough
Yep.
with me. And she's like, hey, Blayne, are you doing the light afterwards, right? And I was like, hell no, I'm going home.
I'll go home and
I'm
sleep.
going home. I'm not sticking around.
Yep.
Yeah, so we'll see. Challenge
so
challenge pants, no pockets for the ladies. I'm just saying, I think that'd be a home run.
Yeah.
Remember the original challenge pants didn't have the back pockets?
Yeah.
I think the ladies would like that.
Yeah, so then
Ladies?
there was a bisecting stitch line across the middle that nobody likes either. So, it's like you can't please everyone. We'll see where it goes.
Okay, so what else are we doing here?
Okay, so real quick, tactically, gear. New materials, maybe. I'm going to downplay it. It's going to be awesome next year.
New
It's going to
rucks?
be a big deal.
GR4?
GR27 made out of 9000D steel, right? That might happen. Probably not, though, right? Don't hold your breath.
Ballistic frame sheet?
Might see some, offering up a Kydex frame sheet or something as an aftermarket product, you can do that. There's
That's probably for someone else to make, to be
Lots
honest.
of
It fits our ruck.
reasons.
If you make a ballistic
People
frame
do
sheet
this.
and
They
you want to
do
fit
it.
it in our ruck, let us know.
They do it. There's other places.
What about
in
a vented back?
firearms stuff you could get into, with ballistic plates in it that are lightweight that stop a bullet. I've seen all of that stuff, right? There's a market out there for it. For us to do, we'd have to actually commit to it instead of like 100 units, 200 units, half-assed doing something, it ends up not really.
It's
working
half-ass.
out. Not working out great for us. We don't sell a lot. We spend a lot of time doing it. That's not really all that great.
So what else is new? New rucks?
New old rucks. There's the
Like,
first name radio, last name ruck. That'll be reissued. Small quantities. First go round. We don't know how it's going to do.
only in black, maybe?
Give you any color you want as long as it's black. So that's going to be cool.
New colors? Arid?
Arid life. Arid life.
Arid is life.
Arid is life.
Or is it arid life? What's the hashtag, Bomber? Dang it.
Arid life.
Okay, so radio or ruck, maybe.
All right, so
I like that
radio
ruck.
ruck definitely.
Okay.
I'm just
I'm in for one of
spoiling
those.
everything.
Yeah. What else?
So that's kind of it on the. There's some modifications to some other existing rucks.
There's
you
at
know.
least
upgrades.
2 rucks that I'm aware of that are going to get markedly better.
Everyone's always going to say, "Oh, you're cutting this corner or that corner, or here's the 99 features it has, and here's the 98 features."
I wish that
it
were
has
true,
now,
by the way. That's
or
the
the
opposite.
98 or the 102 features. I mean, probably we're due for a price increase on the rucks. That's probably going to happen. Oh yeah, by the way. So for right now, you can have GR1, for instance, for the inaugural price in 2010 of $295. Right? Sounds expensive. It's worth a lot. Awesome. We win. You win. Everybody wins. It's great. So let's move on. You want to do apparel or events next?
Let's do events.
Okay, events.
But there were questions on both. There were more questions on events, I think.
Selection's still a thing. We've actually decided to keep it around. You guys did that big, great, awesome thing where you signed up for the challenges, and we covered selection this past year, and it went pretty well.
So don't sign up for selection. You guys saw it last year,
Do
live and in
not.
color. You don't want any
It
part
is
of that.
so
don't
bad.
sign up for selection. We'll be there at your dad's house, hanging out in the barn. It'll be good.
Yeah.
We should get Rich Froning to do selection.
Yeah?
We have a visitor today. It's from Cookville. We should
Huh.
make it happen. Come on.
Come on.
Yeah. I think he would do well. I don't know that he would finish. He would do well.
I would hope so.
This is
All
our
right,
friend.
Here we go.
He would do well.
Yeah.
All right, let's hear you. What's your story?
The man's all along. I was class 303 in Cookville, Tennessee. It was, I think, your first corporate event.
So did
Been
it
a long
custom?
time ago.
For Averett.
Yeah.
In
Averett,
Cookville?
Averett Shipping, is that the right way to say it? Or
It's Averett Express.
Averett Express, but
Yeah.
if you drive on I-95, like I've covered 1 trillion miles on I-95,
Yeah.
living in Fayetteville Fayetteville, Fort Bragg, and trying to get either north or south in my life, and I saw a lot of Averett Express out there on the road.
Red trucks, gray trailers.
Yeah, and then I remember after the event, there was I think it was a breakfast at Waffle House, and people were just sort of drooling into their eggs.
There's a Chick-fil-A there now, right?
There
in
it is.
Cookville?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I heard Rich likes to go to Chick-fil-A on a regular basis.
He
So
may be,
we'll
I'm
see.
not
All right.
sure.
Yeah. So you're gonna go chat with Rich about how he's gonna do GORUCK. You know what GORUCK selection is, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Follow it closely.
Do you follow it? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Do you know anybody that could pass?
Maybe. There's a few people in
I've
Cookville.
heard that he's really competitive.
Maybe.
Hey, it's all good. Like
All in good fun.
usually
Hey,
it's
just come hang out. That'd be
usually it's
cool.
the
Yeah.
underdog. The
Yeah.
underdog usually is the kind of person the sort of I'm going to show up and I'm going to train in silence and not have a big bullseye. But sometimes you can't go anywhere without a big bullseye and you still have to perform.
Consistent.
Yeah.
And he never slows down.
Yeah, there's something to the 48-hour nonstop piece that is special. And I'm not saying I think he would probably do really well, but there's definitely a mental and emotional component that once you get beyond kind of the 24-hour mark,
You have to train specifically for it.
Yeah.
It's not.
It's hard. You gotta,
Hey,
really
I'm
want,
well-
you gotta really want it, I guess. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Is like if you don't want it, eventually it's just.
I mean,
becomes
I
not
don't
worth
want it. I know mentally I could pass. I know mentally you could pass because we've been through something. I don't want to go. I don't want to dedicate 6 months of my life to training for this specifically, which is what I'd have to do. And I just am not there.
All right, so we've got our in Cookville.
Boom.
I expect,
Fist bump.
I expect Rich and Matt at least to show up, hang out.
You're gonna come up
on
to
you.
Bellbrook, Ohio. You should
Free
come up.
free GR2 if you can get them to show up.
Hey, you
fair?
can come
I better
sleep
just
in.
pay for mine today.
Come sleep in the. My dad. There's lots of camping that goes on there in the backyard. Everyone's welcome. There's a bunch of free Budweiser in the fridge. The greatest bar in the world to drink in, according to me, is in my dad's garage with my dad. It's those two conditions.
You haven't been to my parents' patio.
No.
My parents built a a bar out by their pool in Cape Coral, Florida, and they built it. They built it my first semester of, I think, my junior year of college. They definitely didn't build this while I still lived at the house, which was wise. Good work. But they built it when I was away at college, and they're telling me about it. And this is back like pre. This is like pre-social media,
and stuff.
whatever.
Didn't have a beer.
And so they're telling me over the phone when I'm up at college, like, hey, we're building this bar, and I'm like, sounds cool. And I show up at home for Thanksgiving break. I'm almost sure it was my junior year of college. And they had built this immaculate, like L-shaped wet bar. So like the plumbing out of the kitchen, there's a sink, full-size fridge.
Yeah, my dad's got all that stuff.
Fully stocked, all that stuff, yeah.
Great.
Like, stop trying to say your dad's better than my dad. Come on, what are we 9 years
No,
old?
I'm talking about the comparison of the outdoor bar, drinking, garage, the whole scene.
So I show up. My mom watches this, so Mom, you know the story, I'm sure. So I show up, and I'm 20 years old, right? And I was a pretty good kid growing up. Like, I think my parents, assumed that I was on the straight and narrow, or whatever, which I generally was, but I probably was not as squeaky, as
Well, I
squeaky
mean, you
clean
went
as I
to
thought I was.
West Point and you graduated, so you're either really good at getting away with stuff or you're able to
Both.
adapt.
So anyway, I show up, and I have a couple friends that I've brought home for Thanksgiving. My plebe year roommate comes home with me for Thanksgiving, and it's beautiful weather in Southwest Florida over Thanksgiving. It's like sunny and warm, and there's this bar, which is amazing. This thing that just appeared while I was gone. It's by the pool. And so my parents, who for years bowled every Friday night, they were in a bowling league on Friday nights at 9 o'clock, which means they don't get home until like midnight or after, right? Depending on how much Coors Light is,
That's the good stuff.
Right. That's not Keystone Light, it's Coors Light. So what do? I, of course, invite all my friends to come over and check out this amazing bar at my parents' house.
Yeah.
And so I'm behind the bar, and I don't really know like how to make drinks or whatever. It's just
More
we're
booze.
kinda,
That's how you make drinks.
So there was
right?
like this drink
Right?
card or like this like bartender Bible or something back there. So I'm like, I'm like one-eyeing it, like making stuff up. And we get to the point where we're kind of carried away to the extent that the plan originally was like, we'll all be out of here before Mom and Dad get home. Like, so we'll do this, but then we'll clear out, and that way they'll never know. But the momentum just kind of got to the point where it was like, we're just kind of in it to win at this point. I'm not sure what's going to happen, but we can't really leave because nobody can drive, so we're just kind of stuck, right? And we hear the garage door open. You used to be able to hear always the automatic garage door opener, from the back patio.
It's like, don't tell Mom the babysitter's dead type scenario. Got it.
So the garage door's opening, and we're all just kind of like behind the bar. We're like, okay, everybody just be cool because running is futile at this point. We're stuck. And so my parents come in from the door, from the garage, and you can sort of see the patio from there, and they sort of make their way out, and they look, and there's, I don't know, half a dozen or 8 or 10 of us. I forget how many it was. We've been in the pool at this point. It's a mess. And I'm behind the bar. My friends are all at the bar, and my parents kind of walk up and stand there and look at us, and I go, what do you have? And my dad says, you got any peppermint schnapps back there? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like finding a shot glass as fast as I can. And that was the inauguration of my parents' bar at their house. So still there. We call it the Smith Bar and Grill. The next year I came back, and all my friends were of legal drinking age. And my parents, no kidding, made T-shirts. They found some screen printer in Cape Coral, and they made these T-shirts that they gave out to all my friends when I was home over break that said Smith Bar and Grill, Cape Coral, Florida. Still dub that to this day.
I bet that was pretty fun for him.
Yeah, I'm sure none of you guys out there in GORUCK Lane give one shit about that, but it was nice to reminisce.
I loved it.
Yeah.
That's
So we'll see you at the barn.
Absolutely.
All right, free Budweiser.
cool.
I'll be there.
Awesome.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. All right, I don't know where we were.
Uh,
Selection is going to be a
events.
thing still.
Selection's probably going to be a thing. We're probably going to do this thing where you have to, sign up for some events that put you on the line, though, right? That worked out pretty well for us. And hey, so here's the thing. Until Selection has some big other sponsor besides GORUCK, it may or may not come back. I mean, one person, that's not enough. One person passing, that's not enough.
Rich, we need you.
Until you can get to the point where we're attracting some of the world's best athletes to come try. I mean, is it up there with what? I mean, what is Selection?
I don't really want to compare it to
in the league? It's tough to compare. I mean, you can compare pass rates, Berkeley marathons, and all that stuff, and you can say
I would say it's similar. It's a very different event,
But-
but it's similar in terms of its difficulty in like the pass rate of something like the Barkley Marathons.
It's up there, right? And so
If you haven't seen that documentary, by the way, on Netflix,
that
Barkley
documentary
Marathons,
is awesome. That's a true
good.
documentary, unlike 180 Degrees South, which is very staged.
I'm not even sure we can be friends
The
anymore.
part with Yvonne was awesome. My favorite line in the whole 180 Degrees South thing was Yvonne saying, "The hardest thing to do is to simplify your own life." He's awesome.
No, the best thing he says in that documentary is that you got all these plastic surgeons and CEOs,
That
and
you're an asshole before you show up.
they go on the
You
expedition to
compromise
Everest.
the process.
That's
of
right. You
fun-
go on
yeah.
the expedition to Everest, and you got the Sherpas with all your stuff, and they put a chocolate on your pillow every night, and there's,
Yep.
12,000 feet of
You
fixed
pay
rope,
$80,000 to do it.
and you
blah,
summit
blah.
Everest, and it's the ultimate and the antithesis, because you're an asshole when you start, and you're an asshole when you finish, because you compromise the process. That's the best thing he says in the film.
I stand by my
180,
original
180 South is a great documentary, and all of you should go watch it.
It's staged. It's not a true documentary.
Okay, fine.
It's beautiful.
worth watching.
It's worth watching, but it's not a true documentary to me. It's
Go watch it, and you can discern for yourself.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
all right. I mean, it's
Fantastic.
beautiful. Great. I mean, lots of things are beautiful, like LA.
LA is not beautiful.
Are you crazy?
It's terrible. There's smog and urban sprawl.
Have
LA
you
is not
seen
beautiful.
the backdrop of the Apple TV thing?
San Diego is beautiful.
LA is beautiful. Like, go Ruck Runyon Canyon sometime.
I'm
You know what?
sorry,
I'll
LA.
show you LA on
Southern California is
GORUCK
beautiful.
terms. I'll show you LA on GORUCK terms. It'll be awesome. You go Ruck Runyon Canyon all day. You show up back at Barney's Beanery. You drink like 7 pitchers of beer, and then however many more before you forget. And then you close down Barney's Beanery, the greatest bar in LA. Certainly. I don't want.
LA's on the list, but
Yeah, and it's
Not my
LA.
favorite.
Now that I'm not
of all of California, LA? I mean,
No, I've just been there a bunch. It's just the nature of the beast.
sorry, LA. I'm sure that I'm missing the point. But
No,
anyway,
I like LA.
the same way that
I like
Jason's
LA now.
missing the point on
when,
180
When
South,
I was
but-
sort of lost in my life, LA was hard. It amplified that I was lost. But when I show up now, I'm not lost. I have a blast. There's great people there.
That's some existential stuff. I like
great.
that though, because I feel the same way about New York City, which I've spent a lot of time in.
Yeah,
When I was sort of lost in my own life, I was just overwhelmed by New York City.
yeah.
I was like, but now that I'm just kind of okay with everything, I don't.
You got a
I'm
tour
not
guide
uncomfortable
in New York. You got someone that, hey, this is my
Joe
local
Quinn.
little-
Joe Quinn is your tour guide. in New York
Joe
City.
Quinn.
When are we
Hot
go-
dogs. We'll talk about that some other
Oh,
time. We gotta
when are
keep-
we going there to do that?
We got to keep moving.
Okay,
we got to
sorry.
keep moving on.
So hey, I have a question for GORUCK Nation here.
We're almost at an hour. We're about halfway done, by the way.
Okay, do you have somewhere to be?
No. I mean, we could turn this into 2 parts, or we could. What do you want to do?
No, we got to stay with the momentum.
Okay, let's stay with the momentum.
Okay, so
We might cut this up into 2 podcasts, though. Just FYI.
Yeah, that's fine.
Not having a podcast makes it easy to say that.
because it's after the fact. We can do whatever we want.
Yeah. Boom.
That's the nice thing about small businesses.
Yep.
You can just do whatever you want. So you don't go broke.
Yeah.
So
and they'll love us no matter what. I read that on Reddit, right? Just do whatever you want.
on Reddit,
Suck as bad
or
as
they'll
you,
hate us no matter
suck
what.
as bad as you suck on order fulfillment. They'll just love you for some reason, no matter what.
Okay.
Right.
What? So my question.
Oh look.
So my question for GORUCK Nation is, if we were theoretically, hypothetically, if we were to do a selection-esque event that involved teams, let's say it's a 3-person team, and let's say it was competitive. So you and 2 of your buddies, guys or gals, you can pick, show up to do something that's kind of all-encompassing. So it's going to be physically demanding. You're going to have to do some tasks. You'll have to implement some teamwork, some leadership, some communication amongst your team. You may have to do some other tasks, like some of the stuff we teach at like Constellation or whatever. Is this something that is interesting to you guys? Because it's interesting to me, but I don't want to do it if it's not interesting to the broader community. So if you had a chance to sign up to do something, not as an individual, like Selection, which is the only individual event we do, but not as a purely team thing like the GORUCK Challenge, but somewhere in between. Small team, like 3 people, and it's going to be hard.
No.
Like
it's gonna
really
be
hard, and you're going to
scorched
compete
earth
against other.
miserable.
Yeah, and you're going to compete against other 3-person teams to win, to try to win. So it's competitive, unlike the challenge, which is like get through it together, cooperate and graduate kind of stuff. But it's not individualistic like Selection, which is sort of this ultimate survival test of endurance.
It's pretty bad.
But you got to
Don't
do it
sign
as
up for
but you got to
selection.
do it as a team, and there's going to be some communication, some teamwork, and there's going to be some brain power applied, but it's going to still be physically brutal. Do you want to do that? Would you sign up for that? Because I'm into that. I would want to facilitate that if you guys want it. But if you don't want it, just tell me, and
We'll go away. We'll go crawl back into our hole. And
we
we'll
have plenty of
figure
other
out-
things to do.
We'll figure out how to make sure GR1 is perfect.
I'm still trying to figure out how to get this
Still
thing
perfect.
into a podcast. So
Yeah. There's
So that's
lots
fine.
to do.
okay,
Yeah.
so that's on the event side. The other big event thing I think we have to hit on here, since we're getting close to an hour, is Constellation specifically. We've had a lot of questions about when the Constellation schedule is coming out, and the answer to that is very, very soon. Like in the next 7 days, the Constellation 2018 schedule will be out. So if you guys want to sign up for Constellation in 2018, it will be out very soon. There will be a 6-hour version, which for the most part will be
The fire hose just comes
yeah,
faster
it will be a challenging,
maybe even
rapid
literal.
fire, you better pay attention version of this year's 12-hour. You're going to get basically all the basic fundamental required skills of urban survival. You're going to get those in the Constellation 6-hour, and that is going to be available to you. It's going to be awesome. Distilled down, just what you need, nothing you don't. 6-hour Constellation. That's going to be great. 12-hour Constellation is also going to be back in 2018, and it is going to be a furtherance, a continuance of the skills you may have learned in the 2017 Constellation or the skills you can learn in the 6-hour version. And it's going to be some badass new modules that are more advanced. Yeah, BD insisted on all new modules. So if you did the 12-hour Constellation this year, if you sign up for 12-hour Constellation next year, it will be a very brief refresher of the fundamental skills, because the fundamentals are the fundamentals, and I believe in that. I made damn sure that we at least refresh the fundamentals, because I believe in that very, very deeply. Like, whether it's marksmanship, tactics, whatever, the fundamentals are the fundamentals, and they are important, and no matter how cool you get or how many tabs and badges you have, you can't forget the fundamentals. So you'll get a fundamental refresher, and then you're going to get all new modules on some badass stuff. So that is a plan for Constellation.
Oh yeah, the other part of the
Specifically.
plan is you done with Constellation?
Go ahead. I'm all fired up. Go ahead.
So he's relatively new here, guys. So he left off one really important thing. What do you think it is? It's 2x3. It's got Velcro on the back.
There's a new patch. So, okay. I'm still trying to learn that, like, I was never a race metal guy, I've never been a patch guy, but like I accept and I'm cool with the fact that other people are, and I'm glad for it, because it's great for us. So, new patch. But the other thing about
It's
Constellation,
cool, though. Like having a whole wall full of the same patch. I mean, it's cool. It's just
that's really
new.
cool to
It's
see,
like-
by the way.
So
Like
you
the
say,
patch
so
boards
the
and
thing
stuff.
is you say you're passionate about refreshing the fundamentals. This is just it just mirrors that. Is what I'm getting at.
Oh yeah.
You know?
The patch is fundamental to.
Yeah, it refreshes the fundamentals of the patch, which was fundamental, and now it's refresh fundamental.
There you go.
See how that works?
Well,
Boom.
you're using my own Jedi tricks against me. I like it.
Boom.
Okay,
Hey,
so
Jedi, got it.
so that, but in the larger context, do you want to talk about this?
Yeah.
Okay, so in the larger context, with regard to events for next year, and many of the questions that we've been getting lately are about Navigator, Expedition, Ascent, etc. And so here is what we're doing, and I'm pumped about this, because I like simplification. I like, things that are easily understandable. The new sort of event series,
Army teaches at a third grade reading level for a reason.
as far as I got, yeah. So if in the near future, if you go to the website and you go under events, there's going to be the challenge, which is going to be light, tough, heavy. Standard, right?
It's the foundation of GORUCK events.
There'll be another drop-down menu that's going to be called Survival. And it's going to say Constellation, probably Poseidon, and then we haven't decided on the name yet for the wilderness ones. But we're looking
Expeditions-ish.
Expeditions,
Except not granola eater type stuff.
No, like wilderness survival,
Yeah.
SEER school stuff, minus the
with the practical application that feels more like
and no prison camp stuff.
no prison camp.
But here's what we've determined is that we have these Green Beret cadre. We have all of these skills and all this experience to impart across a broad range of skill sets. And when we think about Constellation, when we think about Expedition, when we think about the Beach Beta, which we did this year, which is going to roll forward into a much bigger event series next year, we have an opportunity to teach and to provide an experience on survival in the urban environment, which is critically important, right? Through Constellation. We have opportunity to provide survival training and experiences in the water or maritime or whatever environment, which is going to be the Poseidon series. And then we have a lot of demand, apparently, based on Facebook and Reddit comments. We have a lot of demand for survival in the wilderness setting, whether that's going up a mountain or moving through a swamp or whatever. So we're going to basically pull those all under one flag, which is going to be the survival kind of drop-down menu, and we're going to build it out. So the first thing you're going to see is going to be Constellation, 6-hour and 12-hour.
New patches, you're going to see new patches.
With new patches. Not too long after that, you're going to see Poseidon, probably.
New patch.
With a pretty cool patch, actually. The Navy SEALs will like it a lot.
The Navy SEAls will like it.
Yeah.
Right? It's
So-
not they prefer it in a book format, but it's,
We're not
it's-
making
it's
any money
flipped
off
the wrong
royalties.
way,
Yeah.
stuff like that. Love you guys.
So that's going to expand significantly next year. You will see a lot of opportunities to get into the kind of the water survival type event, which is going to be really good. And
A
then,
lot more opportunities than I was expecting.
Yeah.
And it's
gonna be-
not in the ocean, it's in lakes or more still bodies of water, frankly, because it's safer.
Yeah, the ocean has a lot of unknowns that, yeah. So you can look forward to that. And then we are going to bring back, for those of you that are worried about Navigator, Expedition, Ascent, et cetera, the wilderness survival events are going to be back in 2018. I don't know the exact number yet. It's not going to be,
Specifically,
it's not going to be over
the
50 or anything like that, but it's
The
going to be.
ascent. I remember you asking, "What's the heritage of the ascent? Why is this important?"
Yeah.
It's like this is the first one we did. Like the ascent is awesome. It's in to me it's in Colorado.
14er.
It's a 14er. The
something,
first time we did it was a few 14ers, and it's brutal. I remember one of the cadres flew out, Lou, and we did a recon 14er. Just hey, whatever, right? And AMS, acute mountain sickness, right? Isn't that what it is? Like that's
Altitude
a thing.
sickness.
He couldn't get to 14s at 12, and we're all laughing at him, making fun
Headache,
of him, and
puking.
stuff, headache, puking, stuff like that, and just laughing at him. This is on the recon. If you show up as a participant, we don't do that outwardly anyway, right? So you need to show up and
The water
and
is deep,
acclimatize
you will be
yourself. Look,
judged.
yeah, it's hard. It's hard to do that stuff, and if you're in better shape, it's hard. And so the ascent was this huge family gathering, and it was awesome. It needs a new patch. It needs to get brought into the fold of GORUCK survival. It needs to feel like even more of a structured and programmatic Green Beret-led thing, and that's what we're doing.
Yeah, so in 2018, you'll have the opportunity to learn from Green Berets, from Special Forces cadre across really the full spectrum of their capabilities, which I am pumped about. And it may or may not end up in a culminating exercise event late in the year, which will be truly epic. where
Which you'll have to do the other ones to get to.
Yeah, but then you might have to
If-
apply your
if
skills in
maybe.
the urban setting, in a wilderness setting, and in the water or maritime setting in order to be successful. So I'm excited. And by the way, we haven't even mentioned, so outside of that, but
About to talk about firearms?
is firearms.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you want to learn from SF guys on survival in the wilderness, thriving in the urban environment in the case of a disaster, surviving in the water, and then shooting, like you can get all that.
And so
To me, that's pretty cool.
So
Where else can you get that?
Here's the thing on firearms stuff. We've not focused a lot on it in terms of gear, although there's a lot of gear coming in January on the firearms front. But we've not focused a lot on it, and yet still it's just grown. Like almost
Like double this year from
double
last
or
year.
more every year with very minimal marketing.
It's like word of mouth. Like,
almost no marketing.
yeah, thank
And
you,
so-
by the way, the people that are coming to these things and
Like
you're telling
Bill
your
Vernon.
friends. Yeah, Bill
I
Vernon.
mean, just
we probably
pushing
owe him a
things
car
forward.
or something. Like the guy.
yeah. At least
Like
a
Oprah.
phone call or a letter, damn it.
I've sent him a
Right?
handwritten letter. Okay, Bill, I hope you got my letter. I really sincerely
So-
mean it, man.
So the firearms front. I mean, here's the thing: if you own a gun, first off, guns are not that scary once you know how to use them. I know because my mom forbade me from playing with guns as a kid, and then 9/11 happened, and I became a Green Beret. It didn't work out so well for her, but
Sorry, Julie.
yeah, sorry, Mom. It's one of those things. They're not that scary, but here's the thing: it's a lethal weapon, and if you have a gun, the worst thing you could do is have a gun and not be confident with it, because restraint is the hardest thing to show. It's easy to just sort of, fire rounds into something if you're scared or whatever. That's bad. Life and death stuff, that's bad. And so the more highly trained you are, the more likely you are to be confident enough to show restraint. And so our philosophy, our background is, as Green Berets, the by, with, and through mission in war was to find local forces or partner up with local forces and train them up on, first off, the fundamentals of weapons and tactics.
By the way, you don't draw and fire the first time you feel a little scared, because that's probably a rapport killer with the G chief, right?
Yeah, you don't do that. And so, you've got to teach people how to be comfortable and confident and safe. And,
By the way, middle of the night, it's 3 a.m., you're groggy, you're tired, you think you hear a noise, now your heart's racing.
yeah.
So you've got elevated heart rate,
Yep.
it's the middle of the night. How good do you think you really are at shooting pistol in that environment? I would say really bad,
Yeah.
if I had to guess.
You default to the highest level of your training, not to your expectations, right? And so, look, firearms are a very touchy subject, and we're not here to sit and, this is an apolitical organization, but we do come from a
Not
background.
nonpartisan, apolitical, and there's a difference. Yeah.
We do come from a background of being very safe, comfortable, and confident with guns. And frankly, anybody out there, if something happened, and there's too many of those instances in the world, if you had one of us or one of our cadre, someone in this community with a gun to combat something bad that was happening in your community, you would hope that we were there, because that's just the nature of the world. Guns are not going anywhere. It's not like the Second Amendment is not going to be repealed. And this is from an apolitical standpoint.
I thought Obama was going to take all of our guns.
Everyone, there's all sorts of scare tactics all over
That
the
was
place.
that was bait. I shouldn't have done that. That wasn't.
There's scare tactics all over the place. And what makes America great is that all these different states with all these different laws and legislation.
I said Obama, and you said make America great.
We still believe in America, in the higher concepts and stuff. And so, look, ultimately, you show up. Our job is to make you safe and confident with your firearm, so that
Which everybody should be. By the way.
which if you have a firearm, it's your duty, responsibility to do that. So firearms it's been an interesting thing. It's reminded me of the challenge in the early days, just from the standpoint of, with no marketing, it's just grown. And so that's been fun. So if you round out all of the events and you say, survival across all these different environments, you say the challenge, which is, physical to get to the mental, you say firearms, there's some others, scavenger and the ingress events. I remember Luke's question about
OCF.
working with ingress. There's some potentially really, really cool stuff that's going to happen with us working with ingress.
Probably not going away. We'll see.
We'll
they
see.
get a vote in that, but OCF, Ingress.
Operation Clearfield.
Our preference is to continue it next
Yeah,
year.
they're great. Really, to get way behind the curtain, I really like John Hankey, the CEO of Niantic, who
Which is the company that owns Ingress and
Ingress,
Pokemon Go.
and
all that.
we're me and Em and John and his wife, we're friends. That doesn't mean that we talk every day. Doesn't mean anything like that. It's just we get along really well. We have a lot of shared things like love of America in common, and that's pretty awesome. And so that's a foundation for a lot of really cool stuff that we could do together. And it's the long play with them. They're great. The more time that I get to spend with John and his family, it's great. It's a great brand. Like any other brand that's gone really, really big, and they're billions of dollars now. Later at between Pokemon.
That whole
and
Pokemon Go thing.
the whole
was
Pokemon
really-
Go thing was a big deal, and Ingress. So we're happy to work with them. It's good. It's going to continue. We get along with them really well personally, not just John, but their team. They've got a lot of really smart people there, and we're working on stuff. OCF, Operation Clearfield, was good. We wish more people would have shown up, but we owe a little bit more on the marketing front to that end. So that's does that round out events?
Barely. So here's what I think we should do.
Barely.
We've got 300 things on the whiteboard that we wanted to talk about, mostly stuff into 2018, which some of it we've hinted at. You want to do that next week, maybe?
Sure.
Or something like that?
Sure.
Bomber, do you have some burning questions you want to share with us?
Some pretty good ones, yeah.
Cool. Let's
Okay,
go.
if
Come
you've
on.
got good questions, let's do it.
Luke MC, he did ask again about
Luke.
Clearfield, but he also brought up Brad events for 2018.
Kids events are difficult. Nobody signs up in enough numbers. We have to tack them onto other events. We would like to get more involved with pre-orders for events or something.
We did one at a school here recently, locally. Like,
Yeah.
we love it.
That's
My
cool.
wife and your wife are working on a thing for underserved youth here in Jack's Beach to do. We want to do it, man. I mean, I have kids that are young. You guys probably all saw I got in a bunch of trouble because I let my 8-year-old do a light, and then everyone's like, why can't my 8-year-old do a light? And like, sorry about
And
that.
like the answer is because if something happens to his 8-year-old, he's definitely not going to sue GORUCK. And
That's kind of the shitty but the true
it's
answer.
the
It's
shitty
like,
but
yeah.
the true answer.
Also, my 8-year-old is better than your 8-year-old. He's
So
certainly
there's that, I
tougher.
guess.
Yeah. Maybe.
Dalton's a
All right.
cool kid.
Okay,
Okay,
what else?
Jennifer Jarvie, who I made mad because I told her to stop whining like I do most of the female GRTs. She said
Jennifer
more
Jarvie, she
females
was
in
rock
marketing.
camp.
More females in marketing. She wants to see more women kicking ass. And she said also, if you're ever in Cincy, come have beers with their Ruck Club. And I told her
oh, man.
2018, I'm saying it. It's the year of the woman at Go Ruck.
Okay, so that last part is actually, I think, pretty true. So, but more, so let's work our way backwards. 2018, Year of the Woman, I have no issue with that. I think that's probably going to be the case.
Cincinnati, awesome.
Cincinnati, yeah,
Got it.
happy to go there. I think I have to go to Nugistics at some point soon.
And Cincinnati and Selection, my dad's house. We're going to go to Cincinnati.
Okay, Jennifer, we'll see you then.
Yep.
Probably me in January, and then the rest of us in September. The women in marketing thing, like half our marketing department is women.
They like seeing guys.
And I think 2 or 3 of the last 4 hires we've made have been women here at GORUCK. So I'm not
It's
sure where to
just
go with that.
Lots
But
and lots and I mean, customer service.
we have
is-
some badass women that work here, by the
Customer
way.
service is full. It's full of women. I mean, and this has been
Which is probably
great.
smart. Well,
We-
Joey Block Party is doing
JVP.
some.
Yeah,
but,
so we sort of went at a certain point, I mean, look, I'm not one to sit and say you've got to have this many men and this many women and this many, but at a certain point, if everyone gets too homogenous, it's a problem. And this is sort of it's tough to kind of really quantify it and put rules in place that say, hey, it's called affirmative action in other places, right? Which is sort of like,
now you're getting political on me,
yeah, it's
Jason.
the whole political thing, blah, blah, blah. But that's what it's called in other places because they put mandates on this and this and this. And it's just to say, look, I think that America is stronger because of our diversity. And I think that GORUCK is stronger for more diversity. And so women are a huge part of that diversity. I mean, it's half the population-ish. And so we want to make sure that that is reflected at GORUCK. It's awesome. We love women. And
Like our wives.
and not only, I mean, and just work-wise, they provide a different perspective.
And they're all crushing it.
And
in our
they're
place.
and they're crushing it.
All right, Bomber, what's
awesome.
next? Jennifer, thanks for the questions.
James Bishop asked about any Go Ruck medical events that would maybe like stop the bleeding for a gunshot.
So we've seen, actually I saw a few questions from different people about the medical events. I'm interested in it. We do not have any hard plans. We actually have some friends from another company that makes these like super high-end first aid kits that want to come out, maybe integrated with firearms. I think we're kind of considering doing a little beta testing in 2018 where integrated with some of the firearms events, you can get some medical training, like some kind of first aid training, things like that. I'm into it. I'm interested in it for sure. We have cadre that are 18 deltas and stuff, but it's
Special Forces medics.
Yeah, who are basically trauma surgeons.
I think, here's how we do it. We come up with one, we do it in a big place. Well, sorry, operationally, we probably do it here in Jack's Beach first to get this sort of, this is what we're teaching. And then we try it in a big place and we slowly inch it out like everything else. And if you show up, if you sign up, so Constellation is a good example. You showed up, you signed up, you brought your friends. A lot of them knew. And so we're saying, okay, this next year, we're gonna double, quadruple down on Constellation. It's gonna be awesome, right? If you don't show up, then we don't do that. That's just how this works. You have you have the most important vote. I mean, yeah, we get to sort of say, okay, we're going to do this thing. That's not worth very much. In fact, that's worth nothing. What's worth something is y'all showing up. So
Which is worth a lot.
that's worth everything.
Yeah.
So we would love to do it. We'll have to see. You have to get a proper sort of concept of operations, what it's going to be exactly, and then you have to see if people, what the cost is going to be, what the props are that you need. You know,
The other hard part of this is like the liability, right? Like, because then,
Yeah.
I hate to even talk, but you know what I mean? Like, you give someone just enough knowledge to be dangerous, and then
Yeah. It's like
if
when
you
we
as an
did-
individual go out and you start trying to give someone a, you know, a crike kit on a car crash scene or something, then I don't know.
Yeah.
It's definitely harder than it is easy, but I'm into it. There are some things we could do, and we're looking into it in a limited role, probably combined with FAD next year. So that's the best I got right now.
Okay, this wasn't from Stony. I do want to amend that. Someone had asked about shipping costs to Canada,
Yeah.
but I know also the Tokyo group has asked about shipping costs to Japan, and before they have like ordered like stuff on pallets and combined stuff to save on shipping, and Europe has also said that. So is there any help with the shipping costs to foreign countries?
We are looking at it. I don't have an answer for you right now, but this is something that, like, I definitely am hearing the concern, and we look, if people in Canada or Europe or Japan want to buy our stuff, we want them to be able to buy it. That's easy, right? I want to come up with a way to figure this out because that's better for everybody. You know, Chuck on our team is now really focused on, you know, logistics, shipping, distribution. That's kind of his sole focus now, and one of the things that I've given him is to look at international options. So we've got a guy looking at it, trying to figure it out. I can't promise a great solution or exactly when or if things will change, but I hear you. We want it as bad as you want it, if not worse. So we are looking at it. The bulk order does seem to help, like the ruck clubs in these different places, buying it in, like, you know, getting their kind of heads together and doing it at once.
So we're grateful for that kind of support because look,
This is a
it's
high quality
expensive.
problem
I mean,
for us. Yeah,
I'm a cheap bastard, and so are you, right? And so
been alleged.
the more, allegedly you for your position, right? So, you know, to go back to those roots of you sort of pool in together and you say, how do we make this work? That's pretty cool. I mean, so when I look at my little half block of neighborhood and everyone's got their own individual internet account and it's $200 a month or whatever, and you've got cable, it's like, it's all individual. If this were somewhere else in the world, like, I don't know, Africa, there would be one connection and everyone would have wires and leeching off of everything everywhere. And I'm not here to say which one's better or worse necessarily, although I'd probably rather have, I mean, I love America, it's my home. But it's just
You love fast internet too.
and I love fast internet. But it's just to say sometimes you got to get creative. And I would love to see a world where, I mean, Japan has shown just massive interest in a lot of different events.
Yeah.
I mean, some of our largest events in history have been there. And I think we're underserving that market. And there's been recently some other really big events in Europe as well. And events, if you can't tell, are sort of the heart rate, it's the pulse of GORUCK. And so people show up for events, we assume that GORUCK will work there. Because if all we're gonna do is enter with gear, there's lots of competitive gear out there and ours is more expensive, blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, I would love to see a world where we figured out how to get, you know, a couple even small distribution / retail channels. I mean, can you imagine a world where we had a place the size of this in Tokyo? Probably be smaller than this in Tokyo. So Tokyo is pretty
square foot is
expensive,
pretty bad.
right? Yeah. But where we could also do distribution out of. I mean, you know, you start to say that's a big market. Japan's a huge market, and they've supported us.
Where are my Japanese entrepreneurs out there?
Yeah. So
Send me an email.
if you're out
The
there,
greens,
I'll talk
the
to you.
greens.
if you're out
There you
there,
go.
you know, if you're
Rec
out
Club's
there and you
amazing.
sort of, I mean, it's just they love Made in USA stuff. I mean, they're willing to pay, which, I mean, our stuff is expensive. You've told us, right? It's expensive. Got it. So, you know, there's certainly opportunity there. It's just operationally and priority-wise, you know, the more that you continue to do it, the better it is. So I'll preview something for next year, or next show about next year, which is I got to go back to Vietnam, and we're doing some more stories about an old Special Forces guy there who was there in Vietnam and stuff like that. And I mean, I was chatting with M a night or two ago, talking about, I mean, I probably need to just stop in Tokyo because it's the natural flyover, but just take a day and check in with those ruck clubs and see what that looks like, and start to stoke the fire a little bit, because man, I mean, Japan has done really well.
Yeah.
You hear that, Becca? Stop emailing me.
Email me instead. We'll figure it out.
Okay, a couple of people have touched on Constellation, the difference between the 6, 12, and 24 hour. Will it be the same as last year, and is Constellation the new track?
Constellation is not the new Trek.
There's fewer beatings.
We've already talked about this. The 12 is going to be new stuff with a refresher on last year's stuff. The 6 is going to basically be a consolidated, no kidding, pay attention version of what last year's 12 was. And we're not going to do a bunch of 24s. So I saw a little bit of that. Like, the 24s are exorbitantly expensive to put on.
It should have cost
wanna do
triple
them.
what it did this year.
Yeah,
just
so
FYI.
there will be some culminating events. There will be at least one. There's not going to be more than 2, probably. It'll be awesome. It'll be worth showing up for, but we're not going to do like
Trek never existed,
dozen.
so I don't know what
Anyway,
we're talking about anymore.
Okay.
What else?
Someone asked about kennel club events with their dogs. Will that ever happen?
Virtual fundraisers for next year.
So there will be virtual fundraisers again next year. We're kind of nailing it down right now. Similar to what you guys saw with GBF, which, by the way, 130-ish.
Yeah,
A lot
pretty good.
A lot of money raised for Green Brave Foundation with that. So huge thanks there. I just talked to the executive director at Team RWB today. We'll do one, almost 100% certain we'll do one for them next year, which should be pretty cool.
Yeah, we got problems if we can't do one with JJ and.
I know, Jesus, like if we can't work with those guys.
We got big problems, so.
So we'll do one for them.
By the way, your college roommate.
Yeah.
You know.
Man, that guy. We see. So JJ and I have a. So we were college roommates, which means we knew each other when we were like 19, 20, 21 years old, and so we have like all the dirt on each other because we knew each other when we were idiots, and then we were also lieutenants at Fort Hood together. So not only were we college roommates, we were second lieutenants together like knuckleheads when we were 22, 23, 24 years old together at Fort Hood. And so we've got all the dirt on each other. And so our professional relationship is very easy because it's just like, look, I got all the stuff on you. You got all the stuff on me. Let's just make this work. And it's easy. So we'll never have any issues with JJ. So we'll do one for them.
So what he's saying is buy JJ some scotch or something, and you can
Bourbon.
get all
He's
the
not a scotch guy.
Bourbon. Buy
yeah.
JJ all the bourbon, and you can get all the dirt on Blayne. There, you heard it here.
Yeah, I wish I was cool enough to have a lot of really good dirt. Anyway. So yeah, we're gonna do something for them. I think we'll probably do 3. That's kind of what it's looking like, but we'll see. Virtual Rucks fundraisers, we like that. It's gone really well.
It gets people rucking.
It gets people rucking, which is like our #1 goal in life. I just wrote it up yesterday or 2 days ago. Like, if you look at GORUCK's strategy, and I'd be happy to share it with all of you, it's really 3 bullet points, and the first
Don't
one
threaten
of them
them
is,
with a good time,
yeah.
Blayne.
Yeah.
Sounds
You guys
like
want a
you
Google
got
sheet?
yourselves a new newsletter, people.
Woo! Excel. The first thing is more people rucking. Like, rucking needs to grow. So we want more people rucking. And these virtual fundraisers, when we talk about them specifically, like, look, it's really the success of them depends on the community deciding.
And the new patches.
Yeah, so it's on us
New
to come up with a cool
patches.
patch and to create a compelling reason, right? You know, we've got to make the connection, and we've got to create a compelling reason for you guys to get out and ruck and to donate. But you guys are the ones getting out there doing the rucking and doing the donating. So, you know, on one hand, the community will determine whether these things are successful or not, and whether we can donate a lot of money to Pets for Patriots, Green Brave Foundation, Team RWB. But it's on us to create the compelling argument and the patch to get you out there to do it. And so we will do our part, I promise, next year.
The call to action is ruck up, though.
More rucking,
Right?
yeah.
I mean, grab someone.
Because easier
let
than
them
a
borrow
challenge,
a ruck.
right? A lot easier than a challenge.
20 pounds, 2 miles, 3 miles, 4 miles, whatever the distance may be, and it's a good time. What else? Bummer.
Variants in T-shirt sizes.
I don't know. I'm not even sure where to go there. Are people saying that they ordered a medium one time and it fit well, and they ordered a medium another time it didn't fit well?
Yes.
I don't know. I mean, we did a different run of T-shirts recently, but I don't know that there should be any.
In theory, they're all.
This
from
goes
the
back to
same
fit blocks, right? Which we talked about an
place.
hour ago.
No, so it goes back to sort of seam allowances and all sorts of miserable things that nobody actually wants to hear because it comes across as sort of excuses. And I don't mean it as an excuse, but here is the reality. When you sew something together, it's hard. There's not a computer, it's not graphic design, it's not some picture that gets digitally transferred perfectly. And so if one seamstress sews it and it's a little bit off at every seam allowance, well, in the sum that creates a slightly different fitting garment, or in the case of a ruck, there's what, a half an inch, a couple millimeters here, a couple millimeters there that are different. That's the beauty of a handmade thing. And I mean, every t-shirt is handmade. I mean, they don't stress that, we don't stress that, but they're all handmade. So if we say handmade graphic tees, I mean, does that sort of help ease the conversation just a little bit? I mean, I've been wearing our t-shirts for a long time. I've seen a run or two that were just a little bit smaller. I've seen a run or two that were just a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
I think we're working within sort of a degree of variance that it's just frankly impossible to get perfectly until, and this will be a big news cycle thing in the manufacturing world when this happens, until they develop a robot to just sew two things together perfectly, which, oh, by the way, will mean that fewer people have jobs doing that. So, I mean, those are the nuances. We promise you those on this show, and those are some of the nuances that go into this. So you're getting a handmade shirt regardless of where it's made, and there's always going to be some variance to two things that are sewn together, and the more pieces or components that are sewn together, the more potential for variance there is. So by and large, I mean, I've seen not too much variance over the years, but I have seen some, and we order blanks and we screen print them. So it's sort of, that part is at least a little bit out of our control.
We have a lot of $10 T-shirts right now available, so grab a couple of those if you want.
Yeah.
Or if you really, really want to bitch, you can send me a note and I'll send you a $10 T-shirt. Fair enough?
Sounds like another newsletter.
We got the last.
Stop signing me
three.
up for shit. All right, last one.
Special events. Why are they not discounted?
Because they're special.
Because they're special. Next question. If everything is special, nothing is special.
There's two favorite ones. I'm going to go with this one first because Beer is Life on the last one. Dan Reagan asked, he said Frank Castle. In
One
the
more.
Punisher.
Do I have time for one more beer?
Yeah, let's do another beer.
All right.
How do you like that? Good?
Are you up?
Genesee? Wow. Is Mocha Mike, I heard Mocha Mike is making white chicken chili at your house tonight.
Are you coming?
I don't know
Bring
if I can
Jenny
come.
and Penny. It's awesome.
It's Penny's bedtime in like
Mocha.
10 minutes. She'll be out. So if
Oh,
I'm there,
bring her
it'll
anyway.
just be me.
Bring her anyway. All the cadre come over to my house. Mocha Mike, Mickey, BD, Joel, everyone.
All right. Jenny, if you're watching.
We're not invited, man.
Going
Jenny
to
is not watching.
I'm going to Jason's after
Jenny
work to play.
is not watching. Let me tell you what she's not doing.
She's probably
right
like deadlifting.
I
Right
mean,
now.
she just, the thought of listening to you talk for what, 90 minutes? Is that
She's
all?
never seen a show. She asks me questions a lot of times, like, "What are you doing next year with women's apparel, for example?"
Oh, I talked about that on the GORUCK
And I'm like,
show.
"I talked about it in the GORUCK show." She's like, "I don't watch that shit." What are you talking about? All right, go ahead.
Okay. So Jason.
Last question.
No, this is
Ish.
second-ish. We have one more after this one.
Meet, how you doing back there behind the camera?
We're good.
He's
Meet.
pumped. All right, go ahead.
Frank Castle.
Yeah.
Who do they need to email to get him to wear a GR1 in the upcoming seasons?
Done.
Who do they need to hassle at Marvel?
We're not gonna be lackeys to Marvel, okay? We appreciate that you guys want it, but that's the honest truth. We're not gonna go like bootlicking to Marvel so that Frank Castle can wear a GR1 or not.
Well,
How's that?
let me caveat that. I flew out to LA for lunch one time.
Are you hedging?
No, I'm just stating reality. I flew out to LA for lunch. I posed this great scenario. And, this is what I was talking about earlier. Nobody wants to take a chance on anything. It was a sort of, how do you bring the Punisher to real life in stadiums across the country and venues across the country and turn it into also a fitness thing. And also, by the way, I mean, Frank Castle, it's sort of the sewers and the dungeons of New York City, right? How do you bring that to life? There's only one company that could bring that to life, and that's GORUCK. And you know, everything goes to die in middle management. I hate it. It's disgusting. Everyone just has 10 million reasons to say no to
That's why
everything.
we have a platoon-sized element.
I just can't, you know, in fact, they don't even say I just can't. They just sort of,
No, they say they will.
They just
and then
wither.
it just trails off.
they just wither and die,
Yeah.
right? And, you know, eventually when you get big enough, this is why fat cats talk to other fat cats and then they tell, you know, people under their fat cats what to do and then they make it happen. It's disgusting, but that's the way of the world, right? I mean, you know, if we were 50 times our size, we could get Budweiser tomorrow. Easy. Just, you know, hey, here's the number. And then the person that monitors the Twitter that says, oh, they've got this many followers. Like, it gets put up the chain. And then the person that monitors the Instagram says, oh, they've got this many followers. It gets put up the chain. And then the person that monitors Facebook says, oh, well, look at this engagement. This is crazy, right? And then,
They're not monitoring brand affinity. You know
and then
what I
the
mean?
person who says, oh my gosh, they could send this many emails out, this many impressions, right? And then it goes up and up and up and up, and nobody has a reason to say no because nobody wants to take a chance, and everyone wants to guarantee an outcome. And if the outcome is impressions, then you say, okay, so I can guarantee those impressions with this brand because they've got all of these metrics. Nobody wants to take a chance. They just want to guarantee outcomes because nobody, it's sort of like when you get too big, HR just starts running everything. No, you can't do this, you can barely do that, you know, kiss the ring, right? Growth strategy, kiss the ring, right? Kiss the ring, right? It's disgusting. Someone's got to eventually show up, slap the table and say, this is what we're doing. And, you know, we don't see that at a lot of places that we could add a lot of value to. So we would love for Frank Castle to wear a GR1
Marvel,
more than he already
Budweiser,
has.
come on. Or don't.
More than he already
Or
has.
don't.
But it just, look, the reality is that we are grateful for our community. We're grateful for our people. They're our foundation, they're our core. And when GORUCK is 1,000,000 times bigger than what it is right now, it's going to be literally on the backs of the people who are early movers. And those people are out there right now, and they're rucking the sidewalks, they're rucking the trails, they're doing our events, and they're getting all their friends to do it. And you know, when it comes down to it, when there's all the cocktail parties and there's all of the circuits and there's all that stuff, that's not where I'm going to want to spend my time, right? Sometimes you got to do what you got to do, but I love our people now. So I'm grateful for you all.
It's a good place to wrap it up, I think.
How's that sound? Boom. That's
I
it.
do have one last
Yeah.
question.
What?
No, I do.
Damn,
This one's
Bomber.
great. But I do want to say one thing. Someone had asked about different materials for GR1. I'm not saying anything, but I'm really stoked about that. I'm really happy. Last question
It's going to be in this
is
like
when-
knit
Yes.
monster. Have you got monster holiday koozie?
Yeah,
If you guys don't like this, screw you, by the way.
When
That's a
will
good
GORUCK
koozie.
have their own beer?
I don't know if GORUCK will have.
I'm not
its own
ruling that
beer.
out, by the way.
I'm not ruling it out. Also, let's give a shout out. Your little guy in the stars. Let's hear about it.
Oh,
What happened,
man.
Bomber?
I
Petey.
want a crown camera.
Yeah,
Yep.
I've done it before. Don't worry.
It's okay.
Let's hear about it. We love dogs here at GORUCK. Been a rough week for our main man. You know, we're people. Been a rough week, right? Little guy, so hey, get out there, adopt a dog, get a dog, whatever the case may be. They'll enrich your lives, you know.
So Bomber's first rescue, Petey,
Yeah.
who was, I think, 16, right? Lived a good life. Passed on
A
a
life
couple days
with
ago.
Bomber.
Yeah, how bad could it be? And a bunch of other wiener dogs.
Yeah.
And peacefully lived a good life. He's chasing
All right.
chasing rabbits or whatever.
All right, so here's
right.
the Petey and the stars. That's
Petey.
it. Cheers.
All right, guys. See you next time.